The general pulse meta is still not in a great spot. 340s is still the best pulse type, and 4 bursts are a close second but much easier to use. And we've even got a perfect one from comp this season. Already have Disparity, which is a near perfect one that you can craft. However, with last season's range changes, other pulse types aren't actually completely useless now. And with Checkmate existing, other pulses actually have a bit of a place there. Shattering Bone was obliterating people with a more passive playstyle, for example. And despite the weird archetype balancing, pulses in general are still in a pretty decent spot, and you can get away with using basically any of them. However, there is one archetype that is in a awful spot: 390s. The lowest RPM free burst kill, range and zoom basically asking to compete at 340 in aggressive pulse ranges, but high stability and aim assist, making for an interesting feel of a gun that's generally pretty bad, but still feels relatively nice. Sadly though, you will have to keep in mind that these are far from meta picks, and you are actively putting yourself at a disadvantage via using them due to their excessively low time to kill. So today I'm going to talk about my two favourite 390 pulses, which are also two of my favourite pulses in the game due to how fun they are to use, despite being literally garbage. These two being Jorumsclaw and adhortative. Jorumsclaw is a solo 390 from Iron Banner, with its best role being moving target and golden tricorn, whilst adhortative is also a solo 390 from which seasonal activities is craftable, and its best PvP role is aerosol and golden tricorn again. Adhortative also has worse stats than Jorumsclaw, with 8 less range, 2 less handling, 5 less reload speed, and 62 recoil direction compared to 71. The stats aren't very significant, however, as adhortative makes up for it in feel and its static recoil direction. Your main goal with either pulse will basically just be to keep golden tricorn up for as long as possible, as you'll have a 0.93 time to kill free burst without it, and a 0.63 2 burst with it or any damage buff, which then lets you go from losing every duel to demolishing half the match so long as you can actually keep it up, which despite being kinda hard to pull off in higher SBMM is addictingly fun. Also, because these are solar and you only need any damage buff to 2-tap, you could also run something like Solar Hunter with Ember of Empyrean Torches, Weighted Throwing Knife and Radiant Dodge, to then have Radiant up 24/7 instead and replace Golden Tricorn with Headseeker or Incandescent, and also put Ember of Searing and Singeing on for more ability regen. You currently also have the option of running Razor Precision to get Radiant off of Rapid Precision hits, which would allow you to keep the damage buff up pretty easily on all classes. However, that is a seasonal artifact thing and won't be permanent. And that's basically just the gist of it. I think it's just a really fun gimmick of managing damage buffs despite being incredibly off meta and generally very bad. However, again, it is near impossible to get away with in higher SBMM lobbies, which actually ends up making it more fun to use when it does actually work. And in Checkmate, these pulses are actually incredibly good as their ease of use and not being actually affected by the time to kill change allows everything talked about here to work in that mode. And in my first 2 games using adhortative, I managed to get 2 reruns back to back, so I'd say they're pretty decent at the very least. In PvE, these pulses are actually pretty decent as well, both have Incandescent and feel super nice after the pulse regular damage changes this season. Adhortative has Heal Clip, which is nice for survivability and benevolence procs. Jorumsclaw has Gut Shot, which apparently increases Scorch damage, although I don't have a roll to test that, and Outlaw, which is Outlaw, I think everyone knows that's pretty decent. So yeah, that's all I've really got to say for these. Like, comment, sub as usual. I've got a number of videos in existence, so you'll see whichever one drops first when it drops. Also, just a little bit I'd like to add on to the end, right? Any gameplay with Jorumsclaw was before the season launch, like literally the last week before Wish, right? And the adhortative gameplay is from, like, the Iron Banner week, right? Like, the one we just had. It's interesting to me that despite Jorumsclaw stuff being on literally the final week of last season, way past midnight, so that means I'm playing basically no one from around me, probably halfway across the world, right? It was significantly easier to record and play those matches than it was for the adhortative games. So, that was great. That's awesome. I really like how the matchmaking is this season's really great. It was awful then as well. It's even worse now, so that's great. I'm really happy about that. You know, second week of a season in Iron Banner and it's still awful. That is really good, thank you, Bungie. So yeah. Adios, and can we please get rid of Bungie management?